All right. Okay. With no further ado, folks, welcome to KCLS's and Newcastle Arts Council Intro to Ikebana with Fanny Yau. Fanny, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Winky. And good afternoon. I'm just so happy that you can join me this afternoon to experience this beautiful, unique art form, Ikebana. So talking about Ikebana, many people will think about, oh, this is the Japanese flower arranging. Yes, it is. And Ikebana actually we go back to 6th century when Buddhism was introduced to Japan. So the custom of offering plant material at the altar to worship the god came with it. And this developed into Ikebana today. So when it was at the very first beginning, Ikebana was just the male activities. So it has been changed during, I think it's World War II, when Japanese government adopted Ikebana as a part of the curriculum for the girls. Started at the end, everybody have the chance to learn Ikebana. So it was not just the male activities anymore. In Japan, there are thousands of Ikebana schools, just like an academic school in the US, over thousands of them. So each school have their own philosophy, and they also have their own styles. Some of the major Ikebana schools like Ikenobu School, Ohara School, Ichiyo School, and Sogetsu School. So many of the schools there have their own style. Just the Ikenobu School, we say it's the original Ikebana school. Many of the Ikebana school branch out from it. So some of the schools are very traditional, and some of the schools are kind of free or contemporary, or we say it's more free to do. We don't have too many rules. For the traditional Ikebana school, we have a lot of rules and disciplines. So like the Sogetsu School, this Sogetsu School was established in 1927. At the time, our founder, he actually was influenced by the Eastern culture. So he thought that Ikebana should be more enjoyable and more free. So that's why he established his own Ikebana school called the Sogetsu. So Sogetsu means the new moon. So it's the really fresh and new school. So our philosophy is like everybody can work on Ikebana anytime with any kind of materials. So we don't really have a lot of rules and discipline. However, when beginners start to learn Ikebana, it needs to have some guidelines. That's why we have some basic guidelines, just like the one I sent to you, that little paper, so that you can have something to follow. So when we learn Ikebana, we start with the basic styles. So we call it basic upright styles, just the one that I have sent to you. So when we do Ikebana, we don't use the foam. We use the kenzens. So this is the kenzen, like the pin holders. Some people call it the flock. So we use it to fix all the branches and the flowers in. And also we have this small, this is a shallow container that we use. And also we have, it's called Ikebana scissors. So what I'm going to do right now, I just want to show you how we use the regular tools to create a very simple or basic Ikebana. And after that, we can work together to use the foam instead of the kensen to create another Ikebana for yourself. Now, because this is just a one-time workshop, we don't want to invest a lot. to buy in this Tencent. This kind of Tencent, it costs over $20. If anyone who wants to get it, you can go to the Japanese store like the Uwajimaya in Belleville or in the International District. You can get one of this. So, okay, so let me start with the using the tools that I have to show you how the Ikebana looks like. Okay, what I have today is the colored willow here, and also for the flower, I have the tulip. And also some of the greens that as the supporting lines. So Ikebana is an asymmetrical three-dimensional art form. So we talk of three-dimensional, that means that we need to have the height, the width, and the depth. First of all, we create a frame with the three main lines first. So now, first of all, I have to put this Tencent into the container first, and then put water in there. I hope you can see it from your side. All right, so this is the first line that I'm going to put in. And then the second line for the triangle, so I have to have another one. So now I have to take a little bit measurement from here because for the triangle, we will have three lines, they are the different length. So the second one will be shorter than the first one. So don't worry about it. Next, when I finish this, and then we can go step by step and then help everyone can create a very beautiful one. So that is the second line I'm going to put up here. So you may not able to see because the branch here is really, really small. So I will make it a little bit bigger, stronger, so that you can see it. What I'm doing here is to add one more line at the back to create some more dimension for this first main lines. So I have one line here, the second one, and then I need to have a third line in order to complete the triangle. So,
Hey, Fanny.
yes.
Okay, we've got one question about the floral foam. And the question is, should I put the floral foam in the container and water?
Yes. You can do the floral foam in the water to soak it up first before you put into the container.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, when we cut flower, we always cut it underwater because this is so important because when you cut the stem, the air bubble already go into the stem. So when you cut into the water, it's just preventing the bubbles and also help it to absorb water a little bit better. Now I have three lines already baked up. So this one and the one up here and the third line I use the flower. So this is the triangle that I have created. In Ikebana is asymmetrical three-dimensional triangle. So we talk about the dimension is a lot of time. Okay, so this flower doesn't really cooperate. It's dropping, so I have to make it do it again a little bit more. All right. And now I will add some greens onto it to make it a little bit stronger. This is the forsythia that I'm using here. In Ikebana, actually, it's a lot of techniques. Sometimes, most of the time, we use the bending technique to bend the stems that we want to use. Because they don't really go to the direction that we want. Sometimes we have to use the bending technique to bend them. Okay. And then I will add one ball on this side. If you have your branch, if your branch has a lot of going on, I mean the leaves, whatever, then you might not need this extra greens to help it. Actually, this is we call it supporting lines that support the main lines. Okay, last of all, we have the frame already in, and then last of all, we have to put in the flowers or anything to fill up the gap here. So I will put up the one in the front as the focal point first. And then another one in between them. So these three flowers create another triangle there. From here, from there. So after that, and we need to hide the mechanic. That's why we need the greens. So I have the cedar here. So I will add some in to fill up the gap down here. Most of the time when we do Ikebana, especially the freestyle, we always depends on the shape of the container. According to the shape of the container, we will make our plan how to make the arrangements. It's not just like, oh, I have the my material in hand and then I just do whatever I want. Most of the time it needs to have some plan before we do it. All right, so I'm going to add one more in. All right, so this is it. It's very simple, just a few branches, and then when I turn it to the side, you can see that this is very clean, and then you can see the water. Actually, water is part of the arrangement, right? Okay, so any question about this? No.
I think it's pretty clear. Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions in chat.
Okay. So if you are ready, then we can start to do it all together. And should I wait for a few minutes that let everyone get their material and their tools ready?
Well, maybe you can answer this question that just came in while we're waiting.
Okay.
Are we always aiming for triangles?
Yes.
Okay.
We always aim for triangle, no matter it's a freestyle or basic style. So basic style is really obvious that we can see the triangle. For the freestyle, it might not, but we always aim for the triangle. The triangle can be wider or narrow or long or tall. So it always aim for triangle because we talk about the 3 dimensions. And that's why the triangle is so important.
And Fanny, is there an official front and back to a piece?
Oh, for this piece, it's only the front. So most of the Ikebana we do is just from the wheel from the front. In our school, we have a different style, and some of the style we can wheel it from around or from any other angles. Now in Japan, in Asian times, when they put up Ikebana, they usually put up at the, there will be a scroll behind it. So their arrangement will put in front of it. So most of the time, that's why usually when they create Ikebana, they do it just for the front wheel. It doesn't have any at the back. But even though we still look for the dimension, that's why I have, when you see it from the side, you can see I have some lines coming from to the back. So it creates the dimension rather than just stop here really flat. So the dimension is very important. So from the front all the way to the back.
And one final question. I love fresh floral, but can we do silk flowers as well?
I will do silk flower, but for the traditional Ikebana, they don't use silk flowers. So in our school, we use dry materials like the oleum that dried up, or some of the leaves that you can dry up and use it. So dry material, yes. And also we also use the bleached materials like or painted or spray painted into colors. Yeah, I have some material that yeah. Some of the arrangement or especially freestyle, we don't really mean some of the how do I say that? When we put up the installation, it's hard to get the water into for the flower. So sometimes we use dry material instead to solve that problem. Yeah.
That's a great explanation.
Yeah.
All right, you may proceed. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll move this to the side first, and then we get it ready. Today I have this container, and then I already have the foam in. So when you put the foam in, because it's not the, the American style or the Western style, usually they put the foam a little bit higher in the container. So for Ikebana, I usually cut the foam very low. So make sure it's inside the container. We don't want to see that much of that foam. Otherwise, we need to have a whole bunch of greens to hide it. So maybe ½ inch lower than the container, that will be great. Okay, so I'm going to start. What I'm using here is the, I have the boxwood. Let me see. All right, so if you have your the hangout ready, So you may want to refer it. First of all, when we do a flower arrangement, whatever arrangement you do, no matter it's a Western style or Ikebana style, we usually need to do make the arrangement in proportion with your container. So we have the formula, kind of formula that we want to follow. So first of all, because it's based on the size of the container, so we have to measure it from the container. First of all, we measure it the length first. So we don't have to stretch it out, just approximate. So lengthwise, measure it lengthwise, and then add the height of the container onto the branch. So this will be the length of the first line. So you want to, if you want to make it a little bit bigger, you don't, it's maybe it's this thing, oh, it's too small. Then we can add half of this length onto the branch. So it will be right here. So on the handout, there are three sizes there. So we can refer to that. Okay, so after we take the measurement, we cut it off. Now, because we do it in the foam, we have to cut the stem in a sharp angle. Otherwise, if it's too round and then we insert into the foam, it will make a big hole that make the branch won't be able to stay there. So we cut it into a sharp angle. If your branch has a lot of leaves going on here, you may want to trim out a little bit, to thin out a little bit, so it won't be too heavy. So the guidelines for trimming those leaves, that is the, say, when they are overlapping, then you have to cut one off. So first of all, of course, take out some of the those bad leaves first before you trim it. Okay, so this is the first line that we are going to put in. So now, just consider the foam as the clock. So the first line, the position for this first line will be in at the 12 o'clock, at 12 o'clock. So before we insert in, we hold the stem straight and then move the tip like this, a little bit slanted to your left, around your left eye, and then tilt forward just a little bit. You don't have to make it too much. And then just like that, and then you insert at the 12 o'clock, push in. Now, when you push the stem in, don't push in too much, about halfway or just 3/4 way at most. Otherwise, when you push all the way into the bottom, that it will make another big hole that you won't stay there. So just good enough to hold the stem in place, okay? All right, 12 o'clock position to your left eye, and then push in. Okay, are you with me, everybody? Should we go ahead for the second line? Okay, so now for the second line, we measure it using the branch, measure it from upside down, 3/4 length of this one. So it's around there. The reason why I measure it from upside down, because we have that experience before. When we measure it from here, 3/4 length, then we snap the top. That is really bad because the top part is the growing part. We don't want to snap it off. That's why for safety. So we measure it from upside down. So it's just 3/4 and then just cut it over there. Okay, so. All right, quarter. Don't forget that you have to cut it in a sharp angle, otherwise it's hard to insert into the foam. So for this one, we put it at the 8 o'clock position. At the 8 o'clock position, now this one, you hold it straight and then move the tip down to 45 degrees. It's around the shoulder height. Move down to the shoulder height and then tilt forward towards your shoulder. So this is the position that we want to put in. So just insert it like that. All right, so this is not behaving, so I have to do it this one. All right, so we have the first line, the second line. Now we need to put into the flower. So I have the hydrangea here. So for the third line, this is flower is the third line. So we measure from the second line, upside down. So we do a little bit over half length of this second line. And then cut it into the water from the water. The same thing is to do it, cut it in a sharp angle. Oops. Uh-oh. I accidentally break this branch. So I have to, okay, use another flower instead. Okay, this one will work too. So a little bit over half the length of the second line. And then if there's any bad leaf, we have to take it out. Cut in a sharp angle. Now this time we do it put it at the 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. Put it up straight and then move it down to your elbow height, and then make it tilt forward to your elbow. So this line is really, really low. And then insert into the foam like that. Okay, so now we have created a triangle here. So I'm going to trim out some of the leaves here. This one is not good. So trim it out. And then any of the leaves that will close to the water, we have to clean it up because we don't want to have any leaf that will be in the water. It will make the water stinky. So the lower part needs to be really clean. And then right here, this is interrupting. So I'm going to cut this off. And this one too.
Fanny, how do you mean that was interrupting?
Because it comes to the front. So next step, I will put the flowers in so they will be crossing each other. That's why I'm going to take it out first. All right, so I need to do one more thing that is at the back here. I need to add one more branch there to create the dimension at the back. If you have your branch that is nothing at the back, then you definitely need to add one more at the back. So for this one, there's no rules how long it should be. So it depends on how much is going on on this big branch. If it has a lot, then we can do a shorter one. So if it's like the one that I just did, there's nothing there, it's really bare, then we will add a longer stem there. So I'm going to put this in at the back there. Actually, we call it supporting branch. It's supporting the main line. For the foam, it's very hard to make it stay. It's not like the Kansan is much easier. So we need to be very careful. That's why we don't want to have that stems that go in too much. It creates a big hole there. All right, so last of all, so we have to fill this up. Now, why I'm looking at the flower, turning the flower, because some of the flower like this one, it has the curved line here. I don't know whether you can see it or not. So the curved line is like that, and the flower is turning this way. So when we put the flower in, we don't want the flower look down like that. We want the flowers to look up, because all the flower, all the plant material, they trace the light. They are not going away from the light. When we go down like this, that means that they are going to die. So we want them to be healthy. So when we put the flowers looking up, or we can turn it to the sideways, make it look to the other flower. So they are kind of looking at each other, talking to each other, same as the other materials too. So now I'm going to put this in. So this flower needs to be shorter than that one, because we don't want it to be the same length to create just a surface. We want it to be shorter so that it creates some dimension here. Now this one will be at the very center, tilting forward towards you. So I'm doing this arrangement from the back. You should do your arrangement facing at the front. So you're sitting there to facing your arrangement. So now I have one flower put in. So I need to have another one to finish that triangle. So I have another one here. This one will be the shortest one. All right, so another triangle. And because now you see that this flower and the leaf is touching each other, so I'm going to cut this leaf off, clean it up a little bit, and also this one too. So clean up a little bit. So this is what we have for this style. Now this branch is dropping down, so I have to fix it a little bit. Now the last step, we have to hide our mechanics. So that's why we need to have some greens here. Those greens that we put in, we don't want it to be too long, because it will be taking too much that to take away the attention of the material that we have made up here. So this is just for supporting the lines and the flowers. So we just put this in good enough to hide the foam. That's why I said we don't want the foam. It's too high. It's really hard to hide them. If it's too high, then we have to put a whole bunch of the greens in, and then it will become really bulky. So just good enough to hide the foam. That will be good. You don't want to have too many of them in there, and they make them too short. Don't make them too long. It's very hard to see it from the back, so I have to really just estimate. Okay. So then maybe, all right. All right. So this is what we are going to do this afternoon. I hope you enjoy it. So let's do it. Do a review here. So the first line that we put in is at 12 o'clock. And then move it to your left eye, I mean the tip. So you just hold the end. The end need to be firm, and then just move the tip to your left eye and then tilt forward a little bit. And just like that, and then push it into the foam at the 12 o'clock position for the first one. The second line is 3/4 length of the first branch. So just cut it 3/4, measure it from upside down, and then cut it off, or especially in the sharp angle. And then that one will be at the 8 o'clock position. So you hold your branch upright and move the tip down to your shoulder height, and then make it tilt forward to your left shoulder. And then insert it like that at the 8 o'clock position. So that will be the second line. And then the third line, we will use the flower. So the flower, that one will be based on the length of the second line. So we measure from the second line. So a little bit over half the length of the second line, and then cut it underwater in the sharp angle, and put it at the 4 o'clock position on your right. So that one, you move the tip of the flower down to your elbow height, and then tilt forward a little bit forward to your elbow, to your right elbow, and then insert it into at the 4 o'clock position, yes. So that is the triangle, the frame, triangular frame. And then after that, we add one small branch at the back of this main line because we want to create some dimension for this one. So I add the short one there. So for as a guideline, maybe 1/3 the length of this first stem. All right. So after the triangle is made, then we need to fill in the center. So the focal flower right there at the very, very center, push in. There's no rules how high it should be. So it can be lower than the one on your right. So the push in, of course, it needs to tilt forward towards you. So say just at the 6 o'clock position may be good, will be good. So the finally is the one at the back. So this one, this flower is the shortest one. It will be put into there in between this and this flower, in between the longer one and this one, just in between. So the 3 flowers make up another triangle. So there is a big triangle here and a small triangle down there, triangle in triangle. Finally, we have to put in the greens. The greens, then we've just cut it short and fill it up the gap that we have here to hide the foam. All right.
Excellent, Fanny.
I hope everybody follows me.
Yeah, that was very good instruction. I can imagine it's difficult to teach this 3D art form in an online 2D format. But you did quite well. And it was kind of nice to be able to see, when your branch was falling over and when you accidentally cut the stem. So it's nice to see what to do, things happen and you just adjust, right?
Foam is a little bit difficult, especially for branches. Branches are stronger, so it might not be strong enough to hold the branch in place. That's why when we put in the branch, it needs to be very careful. That's why sharp angle is so important. So it makes this slender, so it makes the hole slit as small as possible. Yeah.
Yep.
So at the back, so the side view, this is the side view, and you can see that it's like where, okay, so this is the side view. So it's from the back. So this is the one that I add in there. So the dimension here. Okay.
That helps clarify that supporting branch that you added at that 12 o'clock position.
Yeah.
Because visually that fills that angle out more when you look at it that way.
Yeah, it should be like this. It goes out that much. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'd like to invite anybody that has any questions. You're getting a lot of great feedback in chat. It was easy to follow and they love the results. I've also given folks the opportunity to unmute themselves if you prefer to ask your question that way. But let's see. I guess somebody did have a question earlier. Can you think of any alternatives to the foam, the floral foam, and was it the pendants that you got at Owajimaya? Can you think of any alternatives to those two?
I think, yeah.
Kenzen. Thanks, Deborah.
Yeah, there's one way that, to make the Ikebana arrangement is to use the Kanzen. It's much stronger to hold the branch. The foam is not it's not the right tools, that what I say, but just for temporary, that's okay. So if you really don't have the Kanzen, you want to use the foam, then you might find to get some material which is lighter materials, not as like the branch, like too thick, but smaller branches, then might work on the foam better.
Great.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Are the preferred combinations of branches, greens, and flower, are there preferred combinations of branches, greens, and flowers? And do certain combinations have specific meanings?
In other schools, yes, they do. They have rules for what kind of flowers go with what kind of branches. But for our school, it's free. It doesn't matter what kind of flowers go with what kind of materials. So yeah, no.
Okay.
Color-wise, no, and the numbers are not. I know some of the school, they was restricted to say only they don't want to have a certain number, like 4 is not good, just 3 flowers, or they do have a number restriction for the flowers. Yeah, but in our school we don't.
Okay, and another question, if 2 flowers have bloomed and 1 flower is still budding, is there a preferred position for the budding flower?
Yes, if it's the budding flowers now, we always talk about there are 4 principles in our school. That is the balance, the harmony, and the the balance is so important that we don't want to have the big flower at the outside perimeter. So big flower, we usually put it down, weigh it down at the center or at the back. So for the smaller flower, like say the budding flower is smaller, then we will make it to do it like for this one, where I will use the bud flower for that flower instead of that. to replace that, and then use the big flowers in the center here. So the outside perimeter need to be light, and the inside here need to be heavy because it's the balance concept.
Excellent. Thank you. That looks like all of our questions in chat. So I want to just take this opportunity to thank everyone for attending our program today. Fanny, you excellent demonstration and instruction. Thank you so much. And I want to thank Newcastle Arts Council, City of Newcastle, and For Culture for funding this program. If folks would like to hang out and show any displays that they have made afterward, I'm going to stop recording right now.